Now joined with Kansas City's very own G. Watts. G, how we doing today?
We doing good, my man. How you living?
I'm doing very well. You were born and raised in Kansas City, is that correct?
Indeed, the most side.
So being from Kansas City, and even as a hip-hop fan like myself, I didn't have guys at the West Coast that I just looked after, or guys on the East Coast that I just looked after. I kind of looked after everything. Who were guys that you were looking up to growing up?
Oh, the greats, man. Nas, Tupac, Jay-Z, Kanye. As far as Kansas City go, really Ron, he really opened up that lyrical side. As far as a Kansas City rapper just taking time out, I like to compare him a lot to Corrupt out of the West Coast.
Right.
So, you know, those just the people that really take time in crafting their lyrics, man, and putting a picture with it.
And that's the beautiful thing about growing up in the Midwest is that you don't have the stigma of just listening to West Coast or just listening to East Coast. You can just kind of listen to everything.
Exactly. Get a good blend of it, yup. I think Kanye did that a lot. You know, he's also a Midwest artist as well. You know, he had that soul sample that, you know, Jay-Z and them used on the East Coast. He also had the hard drums from the West. And then he had this playful lyrical style that he had, you know, growing up in Chicago, battle rapping and everything. So, you know, I agree with that statement, most definitely.
I can relate to what you're saying there. I was hooked on College Dropout when that came out, and it turned out to be my favorite album of all time.
Man, College Dropout is what inspired me to rap.
So you were out shooting a video yesterday. What song was it for?
A song called Nasty. We think that that's going to be probably the lead single. Everything that we dropped so far has just been, you know, to build up the buzz and notoriety of the mixtape. But Nasty is actually one that we feel like, you know, can get some radio love. It got a chorus, a whole song structure. So, yup.
I was going to ask you about Nasty. Nasty's a little different than everything else on the mixtape. It's a little more upbeat, poppy sound. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. You like it, man?
I do like Nasty. That's a good one.
Hey, indeed. And we know we shooting the right one.
So how have things changed for you personally since the release of Watts Up?
I mean, you know, in most people's eyes, I guess you could say things have been moving fast. But me, I like to take my time with everything. As you might know, the Kendrick Lamar song, I've had that for about a year and a half now, just sitting in the cut. A lot of people wanted to say, oh, Kendrick, that's a freestyle verse he used. But, you know, yeah, it was a freestyle verse after the fact. We recorded that song February 2012, I think. Most of the songs from the album were old outside of Nasty and Premature Hate and Quiet Place. So, you know, as everything's moving fast, I just want to stay slow, weigh out options. We've been talking to a couple of labels, but, you know, nothing set in stone, just trying to build that music and make sure that the craft is right for when the time comes, everything can be A1, and it's not just sloppily put together, you feel me?
I can definitely respect that. Now, when I listen to the mixtape, I find that it's a very easy listen. I find myself interested in hearing every song because none of the two songs sound alike. You don't have two songs that sound the same or the flow is not the same on each song, you know? Is this something that you were planning?
Thank you. First off, appreciate that. And nah, not for real. I just, you know, I really allow the beat to craft the flow more so than I just write my words and then I try to match it to a beat. You know, I take that as the artistry in it. I feel like I need to be challenged by the beat and let the beat make my flow come to life because then it matches better. You know what I'm saying? So that's really my approach. And I think with doing that, it's easy to make every song sound similar and sound like G. Watts, but at the same time not sound alike. Know what I mean?
I definitely know what you mean. And there's another thing that I do admire about the mixtape, and that's the storytelling abilities. And some people have even compared you to J. Cole. Is storytelling something that's always been easy to you?
Well, you know, again, appreciate that. But, man, I think whenever you're just rapping about things that you've experienced firsthand and you're not trying to create a facade, then, you know, it's easy to put the details in there and it's easy to have intricate storytelling because essentially they're nonfiction stories. So, you know, pairing that with firsthand experience and just, you know, living a lot of life, I think it's easy to come across stories, you know what I mean, and put them in my music. I got teen stories. Matter of fact, on the next project, I'm going to even dig deeper into the storytelling side. Not to answer so long, but I had a line on the mixtape prior to this where I said, until labels open the banks, the vague sagas all you get to crank. So, you know, I'm knowing what I'm doing, man. It's all strategic planning. I got a lot of them back in that holster ready to be popped off.
Definitely. So there's references to Tupac and also a couple Jay-Z instrumentals on the mixtape. Those have got to be two guys that really influenced you growing up.
I feel like those two are the GOATs, especially, you know, what Jay-Z's been able to do since 96. He's almost in it for 20 years successfully. And I believe Tupac, with him only being in it for 4 years and him still being heralded as the best coast-to-coast Coast. You know, of course, when you go to the East Coast, you got the Biggie heads. And no disrespect to Biggie, but let's keep it 100. You know, there is no Pac.
That's right.
And, you know, his music still lives. And if you really trying to be the best at this, which is what I'm trying to be, I'm not trying to just get in it for no money or nothing like that. I take rap like sport. And if you want to be the best, you're going to look at LeBron and MJ. And I'm going to look at Hov and Tupac. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. You'd be at the top of your game.
Exactly, exactly.
Now, if you could, real quick, break down a song for me, Angels in the Hood.
Angels in the Hood. That song, to make a long story short, actually is just me looking around society, and especially, you know, our society. And, you know, a lot of people want to do good. A lot of people choose to attempt to do good. But when your environment is one way, you tend to adapt to that and, you know, become the person that you are. And so I'm just asking, you know, God, you know, send some positivity this way. Send some of those angels that, whether it don't have to be a financial blessing, but, you know, just send some blessings to people so that they can understand what time it is, that it's not all negative. Life isn't all bad. You know, God, please send some of your angels to the hood.
And from the outside looking in, if you're not from Kansas City, you might just see it as a cow town or flyover country. But really, there is a drug and violent problem in this city, and I think you spoke well on it on that song.
Yeah. You know, definitely if you're not from here, you might get the perception of that. But when you come, you will quickly find out if you get in the wrong place that it definitely ain't no cow town. You know what I mean? But I just think we need that voice. I had a couple of my old homies telling me, man, you know, thank you, because the world needs to hear this Kansas City story. They oftentimes overlook us because we're in the middle of the map for one reason or another, but it's a story to be told here. It's a lot of people that's suffering here, and they need that voice to be heard. And all I hope to be is, you know, an instrument that God can use for positivity, as well as the older homies and the younger homies that they, you know, that story is getting out there to the masses.
Now, you make a few references to your mother on the mixtape. Even have a line saying that she gave you a knife to take to school. She sounds like a pretty intense woman. Do you have any good stories about her?
Oh, man, my mom is a beautiful lady, man. She just don't, you know, raise no chumps. That was back. I'm 22. My mama's 39. So my mama had me at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just growing up parenthood, you know, seeing her boy, you know, be threatened, I guess you can say, by others, and want me to protect myself at a young age, and her immature mind at the time, for lack of better words, because she's definitely not an immature lady. But, you know, now my mama is one of the most wise women that I know. Her and my dad, I thank God for having both of them in my life. Without them, it's no telling how my life would be right now. But they definitely, whenever I steer the wrong way too far and they know it, they definitely put me back on that right track and give me that godly guidance that I need. You know what I mean? My faith plays a big part here in my life, especially here recently. So, you know, those two are very instrumental in that aspect. So, you know, nothing but positivity on their end.
So obviously the feature with Kendrick Lamar on Watts R.I.O.T is a huge one. It really helps you get your name out there with him being on a feature. So how did the actual meetup with Kendrick Lamar happen?
Like, I've been a fan of him for a while. I don't know how long you've been a fan, but Kendrick Lamar EP was the first time where I checked out a full body of work of him, and immediately was a fan just because of the story. If you can tell my story and hear what I speak on, being a fan of his, you know that they're very similar, especially what you know in Kansas City's landscape also. So just being able to relate to the music, and I hit him up one day acting stupid. I think he said, he was tweeting somebody. He was like, yeah, G was popping or something like that. So I hit him up on a whim, like, boy, what you saying my name for? And he hit me back like, huh? And so I was like, good with a track. And he was like, DM me, man. And so, you know, ever since then, it's kind of been, you know, a good-hearted relationship. Randomly blew up 2 months after that. And,
That's
you know,
right.
he's held me down, pause, ever since, in a good way, you know what I'm saying? If I need just advice, we talked about the industry, you know, everything, man. He's been a very instrumental in just what I'm trying to do in a lot of different ways. So when he came through on the Club Paradise tour, hit me up like, yo, I got 2 backstage passes if you want that. Duh. You know, so we went, recorded, Actually, we went, chilled, then he hit me like, yo, I think I got one for you. I was like, well, no doubt. Thank you, my brother. So we hopped on the bus. He was like, yeah, I think this going to go on the album. And so that was my whole mindset going into it, was that we was recording for the album. So wrote my verse on the spot. He actually, since I got this time to talk, you know, a lot of people get the screwed up story. We got on the bus. He played the beat for me. He was writing his verse, had half of it already wrote down, and was like, yeah, you know, this is it right here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to lay my verse, and then I'm going to give it to you. You can go to the crib, live with it, and then send it back to me. But like I told you earlier, rap is sport to me. No matter if you Kendrick Lamar, if you just, you know, my homie J. Real, I'm always gunning to outdo you. And so if you writing your verse here, I'm going to write mine. What I need to go home for. Pulled out my iPhone. I didn't even have my rap phone on me. That's my BlackBerry.
Right.
Pulled out my iPhone, and I wrote my verse that's still on Watts R.I.O.T in 15 minutes.
Nice.
And I left that verse on there for that simple reason. So whenever I tell this story, people know, oh, okay, yeah, it was no me going back to the crib and living with that and trying to write outdoing. I wrote that on the spot, recorded it on the spot, and, you know, it is what it is. He ended up not using it, and so I gave him time to do whatever it is he wanted to do with the song, whether he wanted to release it or just scrap it. And after I seen he wasn't going to do nothing with it, I'm like, yo, what's good with that song? He's like, it's yours. Do your thing with it.
You were lucky to catch him at a good time.
Exactly, right, exactly. Timing is everything.
Right, because I don't know how gracious he would be now to a young budding rapper after his blowing up in the mainstream now.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be.
How has that feature helped you out, not only with mixtape downloads, but also like exposure beyond Kansas City?
Yeah, it's helped with a lot of notoriety as far as just bringing the traffic to my name. But I think, no matter what one song do for you, if you're not talking that talk and actually putting that real life into it, you're not going to get the reaction that you want. And the reaction that I want is anybody that listens to it, even if they don't like me, they got to respect the craft. You know what I'm saying? They got to respect what I'm saying. And I think that, that brings the attention to my name to get people to take that second step.
Exactly. Now I want to talk about my favorite song for a minute, Quiet Place.
For sure.
I just love everything about that song. I listen to it on repeat.
I appreciate it, man.
Do you have a favorite song on the tape?
Nah, I don't got a favorite song. I got favorite flows, things like that. I like all the songs because I wrote all the lyrics, so all of them hit home with me in some way. Matter of fact, one song that didn't even make the mixtape was what song was it? You heard the Jay-Z song "Anything" from back in the day?
Yes.
It was on a Benny Siegel album. Yeah, I got the song to that, and it ended up not making it because that Piff wouldn't let us upload it. But that might be my favorite one, for real, for real. So hopefully that resurfaces sometime.
So before I get you out of here, let the people know where they can pick up the mixtape at.
You can download the mixtape on datpiff.com. You can get it on Hot New Hip Hop as well as live mixtapes. I would actually encourage you to go get it on Dat Piff, though, because we need them numbers and them stats, Kansas City. We need them numbers so that these labels know that we got support. Y'all got to support.
That's right. We got to make it platinum.
Exactly. At least bronze on them, man. We at least need the 25 racks.
Anything else before I let you go?
Nah, man, I appreciate you. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for being the first to believe. Just 93.3 ain't even really a geared hip-hop radio station, but when you see somebody in your home city doing it and doing it the right way, you can't. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a real DJ do. I can't speak on what these other DJs do, but that's what a real one do. So, thank you, my man.
Well, I appreciate the love, and I hope you keep doing big things, all right?
100, bro. Hopefully we can make that happen.
G. Watts, I appreciate the time. Thank you.